Just what are the 3 deadly Fs of freelancing, and how can they turn your freelance business from a dream of freedom and financial security into a nightmare? By the end of this video, you'll not only know what they are, but you'll have some strategies to deal with them. I'm Rachel Roberts. I help freelance language teaching professionals earn more and work less. So let's dive in. What are the 3 deadly Fs of freelancing? Here's a clue. Feast, famine, and firefighting. If you're a freelancer or even thinking about becoming one, you've probably heard a lot about feast and famine. People say that it's inevitable that you'll either be working long hours to keep up or you'll go through long periods with no work at all. There is, of course, some truth to this. You don't have the security that you have with a salaried job, though that's not always so secure these days either. Things happen, projects get cancelled, clients pull out at the last minute. During the pandemic, I personally experienced this kind of famine in a big way. The publisher that I was due to start a long-term job with pulled out, and I wasn't even told personally, just heard in a round-robin letter. I then also lost 90% of my royalty income because, of course, during the pandemic, nobody was buying English language teaching books. Ouch. This is the kind of thing that gives freelancers cold shivers down their spine. The prospect of simply not getting any work is truly scary. It can have a massive impact on our confidence and even on our mental health. What happened to your freelance business over lockdown? Let me know in the comments. Fortunately, for me, my situation was the push that I needed to really develop my coaching business from a side gig into the full-time occupation that it is today. I was lucky I had this option and the know-how to get it going quickly. If work dries up, our inner troll, as I call it, that little voice in your head that seems to delight in telling you how useless you are, will inevitably pop up and start pointing out things like, well, I'm sure everybody else has got work. Well, it's probably because they never rated you in the first place, and other such things. Before we know it, we're starting to think about leaving freelancing altogether and thinking I'd better get a job while I still can. As a result of these kinds of inner troll thoughts and anxieties, often we don't even put the word out about having availability because we feel ashamed or that other people will judge us. Instead, we grab at anything that's on offer and often ignore the red flags that are fluttering away. And then this work turns out to be as bad and as badly paid as we thought it might be, but we ignored. And our inner troll then has a really big party telling us again how hopeless we are and how we're clearly not cut out for freelancing. If you've felt this kind of thing, believe me, you are not alone. I see this all the time with my freelance coaching clients, and I've also experienced these kinds of thoughts myself. So if famine is such a bad thing, you might think that feast is going to be so much better. It certainly sounds better. But it's definitely possible to have too much of a good thing, particularly when the clients are over-demanding and unwilling to pay enough. You can end up working long and unsociable hours, working for peanuts, doing things you don't really enjoy, and not having enough time, energy, or headspace to get out of the situation. This is where the firefighting comes in. You end up too busy to even find a way out of this situation. So how do we avoid getting pulled into the deadly Fs? Well, this isn't a straightforward thing. It's pretty complex and multifaceted, and it forms the core of a lot of the work that I do with my clients. But there is one thing that we can do. One thing that I think is both hugely helpful and absolutely essential. Take some time to step back and get some perspective. Look at what's happening and consider whether it's what you want to be happening. Too often we're like the ant, working away on what we're doing, not looking up, not looking at the bigger picture. When we're stressed, our peripheral vision literally narrows and contracts into tunnel vision. This makes it hard for us to get ourselves out of whatever hole we're digging and to make good choices and plans to improve our situation. I'm now going to take you through a series of questions that can help you do just that. so that you can change things starting right now. So here are 5 questions I want you to ask yourself to avoid getting into the 3 deadly Fs of freelancing. Ready? Number 1, what percentage of work you've done this year have you enjoyed? Try and put an actual number on it. Is that percentage high enough? Number 2, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with the work that you've done this year? How enjoyable was it? Pick a number between 1 and 10. What has contributed to that number, good or bad? Number 3, how would you rate your work-life balance on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is good? Again, what has contributed to that number? Number 4, how well is your current visibility and marketing working for you? Is it bringing you in clients? Is it bringing you in the right kind of clients? Again, give yourself a score from 1 to 10, where 10 is high. And the 5th question, if you could wave a magic wand, what would be the one thing that you would want to change in the way that your business operates? Maybe you've already got more clarity about what things need to change in your business and what you could do. Maybe you've already got more clarity about what things could change in your business and what you could do to affect those changes. But what could stop you from taking action? Here are some suggestions of things to look out for. Distractions and shiny object syndrome. When you work on your own and you don't have other people to make you accountable, it's very easy to find yourself going off at tangents, fiddling about at the edges, and focusing your efforts on things that are not really going to make those big differences that you need. Not saying no when you need to. Teachers tend to be kind and helpful people, and that's great. But if you're spending far too much of your time doing things because you feel you ought to, and rather than considering whether they're really contributing to the success of your business, that could be something that's getting in your way. Lack of confidence and support. Being a solopreneur doesn't mean that you have to do everything on your own. Owning your own business can be great. When it works, you have the flexibility to choose how you spend your time, to focus on those things which give you most satisfaction. You can choose the kind of work you do. You can choose how much you charge, and even who you work with. That's the dream. But the reality is not always like that, is it? Maybe you found yourself earning a terrible hourly rate once you've taken into account all of the expenses and extra work that's involved. Or maybe you found yourself working long and unsociable hours in order to meet a deadline that never really made sense in the first place, or to please a difficult client. Maybe you're confused and anxious about tax and financial stuff, or you're overwhelmed with the tech that you need in order to run and market your own business. Perhaps you're totally unsure about how to price your services, or you're spending too much time looking at what everyone else is doing and not really enough in thinking about what will actually work for you and your business. Maybe you're feeling lonely in your business and wondering if you should get a job again. If this sounds like you, join my membership, the Confident ELT Freelancer Collective, for support, community and training.